Hello and welcome to the PFFUI podcast. On this month's episode, President Tony Murray provides a recap of the 40th convention of the PFFUI, and newly elected Vice President Hank Harris and Secretary-Treasurer J.C. Mitchell stop by to discuss their new roles. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the PFFUI podcast. I'm Eric Shoaib, and today I'm joined by President Tony Murray. Hey, Tony, how are things going today?
Going pretty good, Eric. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So we have just wrapped the 48th convention of the Professional Firefighters Union of Indiana Convention in beautiful Fishers, Indiana.
Hamilton County,
Local 4416, my home local and your home local, Tony.
That's right.
And it was co-hosted by Local 4444, Carmel Professional Firefighters. This is, to date, the PFFUI's largest convention. Tony, why don't you give us a brief recap about what happened over 3 days in Fishers?
All right, so very good. First, I have to say it was the largest attended in the history of the PFFUI. And great job to all of the members and the leadership, President Jim Butson, Local 4416, President J.C. Mitchell, and his executive board and members, Local 4444. We started out with a day of golf, and that was a full field and a great day, a little bit warm, but a nice breeze. I don't play golf, but I don't mind the people that do play golf. But we welcomed everybody in, had some great door prizes, had a great day in Carmel, and then wrapped up that evening with a welcome reception in downtown Carmel with some food and beverages and networking, camaraderie. Then we spent the next 2.5 days in Fishers, where we conducted the business of the Professional Firefighters Union of Indiana. Heard a lot of great speakers, had a lot of local electeds in to welcome our delegates and guests and alternates from all around Indiana. We even had Speaker of the House, which his House district is right there where we held the convention. We retired recognized Representative Jerry Torr for his retirement, and also Representative Randy Fry, Brother Fry, in his retirement last year. So a lot of good information, a lot of good programs, a lot of good speakers. I think we got a lot of use out of our time together in 3 days. We had more networking in the evening, which many of our leaders who come to any PFFUI event always remark that is a valuable time. Not that the business section is not valuable as well, but just sitting down and talking about with other local leaders from across the state, some of the issues that they're facing, and learn new information. And the thing with our organization is you'll find with 89 locals plus, and even across the IFF, no problem is an original problem. So that time spent in the evenings, just kind of talking and learning, I think helps leaders take valuable solutions and good ideas back to their locals. So we did have a good. That was a rundown, really, of the 3 days, 3.5 days.
So for our brothers and sisters who weren't able to make the trip to Fishers, what were some key takeaways from the business that was conducted at the 40th convention?
Yeah, so a full summary of the entire proceedings will be sent out by the Secretary to all of the officers of our locals around Indiana, but some highlights. We had 7 resolutions that were filed and actually heard and debated on the floor. I'll just cover a couple that were of note. So one, Resolution 6, really calls for the formation of a study committee this summer to provide recommendations for member assistance across our state. So we're going to have a pretty robust conversation with an appointed committee to talk about, and for example, the Center of Excellence. When members go out to Center of Excellence, there are certain costs that are not covered by insurance, such as travel. Maybe they need to have a travel buddy go with them. So we're going to talk about ways that we can assist locals in covering a portion of those costs that are not covered by insurance. Another, not a resolution, but by appointment, I announced that we would be having an ad hoc EMS committee to work on some of the issues that we can identify, that this committee can identify, to bring some resources and talk about how we address what we anticipate to be a bill filed in the 2025 session that would call for EMS as an essential service for local government. So we want to have a robust conversation about what does the future look like for fire-based EMS, and also our single role EMS providers, EMTs, paramedics in the locals that we represent. So that was a good discussion, and I think that I look forward to putting these committees together and holding a joint meeting sometime yet this summer. So we also had a lot of change on the executive board. So we have 3 new district vice presidents that were elected. Second district, Jeremy Bush is now the new second district vice president. In the 4th district, Paul Cloyd is the new 4th district vice president to join the board. And in the 5th district, Steve Hayes is the new 5th district vice president to join the board. And, it's noteworthy. I think that throughout the convention, we had great recognition of just about 48 years of combined service between Secretary Treasurer Mike Pinkham and Vice President Mike Whited. Had their last convention, as they both are retiring from these positions after decades of service. And so I think it was good to see everybody show their appreciation and have a conversation. Of course, I would anticipate, as we do, for those that qualify, I would anticipate that we'll be entertaining emeriti status resolutions at our next convention next year in Fort Wayne. We'll be the host of the 49th convention up there, home to Local 124 and Mike Pinkham's home local. So we look forward to that, and that's a real broad wrap-up of the convention.
Yeah, I think it was a great convention. We have received a lot of great feedback so far. I want to thank all of the brothers and sisters that were able to make the trip, who did, and also the ones who were unable to attend but followed along on social media during our week in Fishers.
And by the way, Eric, I have to say, we had, let me think, just a little under half of our total number of locals represented either in person or by proxy. So I know, and people can't get away, but I want to compliment you as our communications director and your entire team, 3 others, Nick, Kenny, and Tim, who really put together a great documentation as part of the record. One, to keep people informed through social media as to what was going on, some video production and that sort of thing, and talking to people there. But also that is part of the record, to digitize the experience, if you will, and put that into the capstone, I guess, of the convention for years to come, for people down the line to say, well, boy, those guys really had their act together, didn't they? They were
absolutely.
So anyway, thanks to your group for and our whole communications team at the PFFUI for documenting all of that.
We are joined now by newly elected Vice President Hank Harris and Secretary Treasurer J.C. Mitchell. Hey, guys. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Eric. Glad to be here.
Well, we are happy to have you. So, first off, welcome aboard. I know that you both served as district vice presidents for years on our board, but now you are serving in new roles. So this is an opportunity for our members to get to know you a little bit more. So, Hank, we'll start with you. So, Hank, tell us a bit about yourself and your union history.
All right. So, as Eric said, I'm Hank Harris. I was still currently am the president of the Indianapolis Professional Firefighters, Local 416, and held the office of the 4th District Vice President, representing that area. A little bit how I got involved in the union is much the same as a lot of union leaders, is being a young firefighter, and as you get some time on, you start seeing some things you may not agree with or like, and maybe not the right direction. So you start talking to other people, and I'll be a little politically correct, start complaining as many of our members are so good at doing.
I think more polite than politically correct.
Polite, yeah.
That's polite for the airwaves of the cast here, yeah.
Yeah, don't want to get anyone in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Not on your first week.
Yeah. Start off with a bang. So as I was plating, I had my retired firefighter come to me and it's like, well, kid, you can either step up or shut up. So I knew I wasn't going to shut up, so I decided to step up and started getting involved, going to union meetings, bringing up issues at the union meetings. Ran for several offices unsuccessfully, but then was eventually elected to represent IFD for our local. Did that for a term, and then just 8 years ago was elected to local president. So that's kind of how I got involved. A little bit about me. I'm a 19-year veteran of IFD. I'm a second-generation IFD firefighter. My father served 35 years. He's been retired for 17 years now. Before I got on the job, I worked as a home care nurse, taking care of children that were on ventilators or that had some health issues, special need children. So did that. Currently a captain with IFD. I've been a member of Indiana Task Force 1, done multiple special ops, and pretty much my career. I'm married, been married for 26 years, got 2 kids. My youngest just graduated college this 2 weekends ago, so got that done.
Getting off the payroll.
Yeah, getting them off the payroll. They're still in the house, but still on the payroll for right now. But one less thing, so got some extra time now, so that's just a little bit about me and how I got involved in the union.
Well, thank you very much, Hank. JC, what about yourself?
Oh, thanks, Eric. Oh, much like Hank, kind of the union beginnings all began at the firehouse, sitting around telling individuals, things happen at the union meetings, things going on you don't really agree with. So you got 2 choices. You can, sit back and let somebody else do it and continue to complain, or you can get involved. And so got involved, started getting involved in like PAC committees and those type of things. Worked the polls, I think, when I first came on. Didn't really know what I was doing. I think the first time I ever stood out there, but I was holding a sign because this guy who took care of us. So sit on a PAC board, got elected as a trustee. A short time later was elected the secretary treasurer for the local 4444 there in Carmel. And then elected president around 6 years ago. So continued to, like I said, get more involved with the organization and continue to, find new ways to serve throughout my career. Been on Carmel for 18 years as a firefighter paramedic most of that time. Currently serve as a battalion chief there in Carmel. And a little bit about me, grew up in Boone County, still live in Boone County. Family farm out there, a little small farm. Wife and kids. My wife, Nicole, is a teacher and a proud union member as well. We have 3 children, Emma, Eli, and Ellery, and they are 18, 17, and 11.
That's a bigger payroll than Hank's.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still going, so if Hank has any extra funds to pass that way, glad to.
Not yet. I'm getting there.
So I got one in college, one that'll be a senior in high school. So my kids are kind of moving towards the hopefully one day get their careers of their own and get on their own payroll for sake. So education wise, went to Purdue University, graduated with a bachelor's degree in agriculture, went into banking from there, which if you see a theme around the finances with me, I think that's kind of where it started. My father was a banker for over 40 years into banking, and I kind of went into that after college because I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I did that for the first 5 years out of college before I got on the fire department. And then down the road, 20 years later, decided to go get my master's degree in public administration while I was on the fire department. So that's a little bit about me and my background and how I kind of got into this role. I think, going into this new role, a lot of people ask about my vision or what I see doing. Well, one of the biggest things I think is continue on the foundation that's been built before me. Spoke at convention that, I'm not lost on the fact I'm just the 5th secretary treasurer in the history of this organization. And I'm also filling the shoes of a legend in our organization with Mike Pinkham, who's served in that role for 26 and a half years. And I think it's got great systems in place, and, is making the transition on me to have somebody like that lead you into that. It's going to be really helpful, make it that much easier. But I do believe, based on my experience in banking and some of those things, I've got some avenues that I want to explore to, get a little more out of our money, hopefully, with some of these banks, and kind of leverage the funds that we do have. I do know that, they'll want our business. We have a decent amount of money, and maybe we can make that money work to create some additional income for us that would, continue to help keep that per capita low for our members, and at the same time explore new resources and new programs that we could put out there education-wise. So that's kind of my thought behind it. We'll see. Excited about the future.
I have to kind of note, I think just in listening, we've lost over, when I was first elected 2 years ago and just reelected, and then up until now, this convention, we've lost a lot of experience. We've lost a lot of service, but at the same time, just listening, to your guys' stories, we've got a lot of experience coming in too. It's not, as if you haven't been involved in your local unions and in various different service levels, or officers. So that's a great thing about this organization. I think that the principal officers did a good job, I think, of creating the bench, so to speak, and then letting people know when they decided that they were going to be retiring, so people could actually think about who wants to fill these roles, who wants to take on these roles.
I'd agree. I think we all these organizations are built by the people before us, and I think we all come behind them in their shadows, and we learn as we go. And I think that that's continuing to be why we are successful, building on those foundations.
Hank, what are you most looking forward to as vice president of the PFFUI?
I think mostly I'm excited to work with the new board and continue the work of those before me, whether it's Chuck Sosby, Jim Ridley, and of course Mike Whited and his 15-plus sessions of experience. Looking forward to learn what he's learned in that time, and knowing that the vice president's main role is the legislative and working the State House and being the member's voice at the State House. Just trying to learn what I can from him and build on that, the foundation that he started, and just advocating for our members' rights and safety and professional development at the State House and in the legislative process. I know, going forward, we've kind of already hit the ground running with meeting with Mike and Tony and kind of starting to build what our summer tour is going to be like. For the members that don't know, the principal officers have always worked with the state FOP and met legislators in their district, both in the north, south, and central, and kind of do our pension presentation. Previously, it was to kind of be a preventative and more a defensive role, trying to prevent the attacks on the pension and explaining what our pension is and what it isn't. And now we're kind of transitioning, still doing a little defense, but kind of transitioning into more of an offense and telling them what our pension doesn't do and what the benefits that our members are missing and what we could do better. So we've already begun working with Mike and getting those scheduled, and then getting meetings set up with legislators, again, both in the South and Central and North District.
Hitting the road in a couple of weeks for the Northern tour with legislators.
Yeah, and then start building our legislative priorities so we can get our legislative agenda starting. It's going to be a long session with it being the budget. A lot going on. So just today, President Murray and myself met with the task force. There's some of their concerns and some of their issues and what we can do for try to help them. And obviously at the convention, doing a lot of networking, hearing what's going on around the state and what we can do. Obviously, I know President Murray mentioned about the EMS. Looking forward to that, and just like I said, just looking forward to learning, finding out what the issues are around, and educating the policymakers at the State House, and again, just being our members' voice and advocating for their rights and their health and safety.
Hank, I think that you left out one of the things that you're most looking forward to, and that's spending more quality time with me.
Oh, yeah. Hank, JC, congratulations on your new roles. You have some large shoes to fill, but I know you are both up to the task. Thank you for being here, and welcome aboard.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
With convention behind us, we are looking forward to a summer and fall full of events. Tony, what is coming up on the PFFUI calendar?
All right. As Hank and JC alluded to, we've got several things. There's a couple of things that we talked about that we're working on. Here's a few more things. So September 5th, we are going to host our fall local union officers seminar, which we're still working the details right now about what education topics we're going to be putting together. But also that same evening, we will hold the Indiana Fallen Firefighters Remembrance Ceremony at the memorial just on the west side of the Capitol. So that's September the 5th, and we'll be sending out some information about that soon. Prior to that, in August, we're actually gearing up to, as many locals are, to attend the 57th Biennial IAFF Convention, this year hosted in Boston, Massachusetts, home of the General President. And so we'll all be out. We are hopeful to get resolutions probably coming in within the next several weeks for us to review. So we'll be sending our delegation to the IAFF convention. And we continue to organize. I just wanted to give a little shout out to our two newest local affiliates. Local 5489, Maryville. Firefighters have come in. That's in the 1st District up in Northwest Indiana. And Local 5490, Cleveland Township, just outside to the west of Elkhart, also in the 1st District. So welcome both of those unions. And we're still doing some more organizing yet this summer. And a couple of other events I'd just like to mention. So we've worked with IMPERS to do a second pension secretary workshop that's going to be held June 28th. That information has already gone out to all pension secretaries in police and fire in the 77 fund. So I highly recommend that our local leaders make sure that their pension secretaries are attending this in-person workshop that's going to be hosted in Plainfield at MAID on June 28th. And that is offered by IMPERS with the support of the state FOP and the PFFUI. And then last, in anticipation of the July 1st effective date of the drop extension from 3 years maximum to 5 year maximum, we have learned that IMPERS now has those extension forms online, and they've actually even contacted members that are in the drop now who are eligible to extend. So they're sending letters to members who are in the drop to actually alert them to that and let them know that they have the option to extend. And I know that we held a sort of a little briefing in our last podcast and talking about some of the legislative updates. Just to be clear, the effective date to extend is July 1st, and there is really no time period by which anybody needs to file that. They just have to file it. It doesn't really end. They just have to file it before their drop period ends if they want to extend that. Does that make sense? Kind of looking around. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Yes.
All right. Great.
I think they need to give themselves like 30 to 45 days before that date probably to allow for processing. But
Yeah. But as long as it's in, it doesn't necessarily end. Each individual, if they're already in the drop, the end date or the expiration date is really the date that their drop ends. So if they wanted to extend, they need to do that before their drop date ends.
All right, guys. Is there anything else to mention before we end the program?
I would just like to welcome JC and Hank to this team and all of our new district vice presidents and our trustees. We have 2 new trustees as well that were elected. In the 4th, Tom Hannafy, he's decided to start over, just start it all again. And also in the 2nd, Trent Richter has a new trustee, so from Lafayette. So welcome everybody, and I wish everybody a good and great summer.
Yes. Have a great summer, everybody. JC, Hank, thank you both for being here today, and we will see you guys around the state this summer.
Thank you. Looking forward to next year.
sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the PFFUI podcast. Follow us on social media by searching the Professional Firefighters Union of Indiana. For more information about news and upcoming events, visit www.pffui.com. Until next time, this is PFFUI Communications Director Eric Shoaib. Stay safe.